All right, welcome to another episode of Let's Hang Out. Do you mind if I paint? I've got a 18 by 24 canvas up here this evening, tonight. It's actually quite a bit past my regular bedtime, but today is July the 5th, which means all the folks in our area didn't shoot off all their fireworks yesterday, and so they're still up doing that. Drives our dogs crazy, and well, rather than get pissed, I decided to come paint. So painting makes me happy. That's what it should be. But at any rate, so today's version is going to be inspired by Bob's 28th season, show number 4. He started with a black canvas, painted it with a black gesso, which is basically a black acrylic type paint, but covers the canvas real well, and color just really jumps off of this. But this one we're just going to use some white, some gray gessos. So I'm going to put those in a little tray I'll be using, and we'll use some more black, and pretty well paint it with 2 different size foam brushes. But we're going to start with a paper towel and just a natural sponge that I picked up. Oh, I don't remember if this was at the thrift store or Hobby Lobby or Michael's, but you get the big old mesh bag of them, and I like to cut them into pieces, and then you get all kinds of cool shapes, and I'll show you that when we get there. So I may pause this. I don't do a lot of editing of our videos, and I don't on purpose, because I want you to see how quick these can really happen. And even with me blabbering and talking the whole time of doing these, you can really paint very, very quickly. And if you've got a short attention span like I do, that's a good thing, that you can get through a whole painting that makes you real happy to do and just sort of let something out and have some success with it. So all I did there was get my butt kicked by the white gesso bottle that's almost empty, but I just won't give it up. And then I've just got an old pencil box. I don't remember if this was Grandin or Andrews, but they're not using it anymore. So it has become part of the art stash, and I've just got to select a size paper towel. It's not even a name brand one. These aren't my favorite just because the pattern on them is so repetitive. I really like the real crunchy old brown paper towels you used to get out of the restroom paper towel dispenser. I just remember those as a kid in school, but they're just rough. Those are great because there's no uniformity there. That's just real rough paper, and it balls up real well and puts the paint on. So I'm just going to ball this paper towel up, dab it down into my white acrylic paint, and I'm just going to give it a go. Now this is going to be a landscape scene deep in the woods. So I'm just going to pick where my lightest area will be, and then we'll just kind of see what happens. So I just try not to have it in the direct middle, but just like any one of Bob's different methods of starting, we can't make a mistake doing this. So we'll just have some happy accidents. So start in your lightest area in the middle, and just kind of start working out from there. Let your hand use different pressure. Turn the paper towel in your hand. Don't let it slide. I don't like it when it slides at this point, because this is our furthest away, what'll turn out being the lightest part of our painting. So we'll slide some things in here. We may do water. I like to do water in these. Bob puts a beautiful path in his. Gosh, he's so good at doing those paths. That's still something I watch his show. I take notes on it. I practice it. And boy, I just love to see improvement, but still want to always get better on getting paths into things. And I'm just going to pick up some more white paint, and anytime I reload, I'm going to start back by the middle and work out from there. And any place I get too dark, I'll just come back with some gray, cover it back up. That'll just add another layer. Oh, maybe we're going to come down to about Doing this one landscape instead of portrait kind of makes it a different layout, but that's pretty cool. If you saw my, I think I posted it on the old Facebook about 2 weeks ago. I did a great big 30 by 40 canvas in a similar style to this, and boy, that was fun. Did that at our art group that meets on Thursday night. Well, that was fun. We always have a great time in our art group. You want to talk about some talented folks. Holy moly. I love getting to just sit and watch and see other people just let out whatever they've got inspired inside of them. And we don't try to copy each other. We try to help each other and learn something from each other. And sometimes the things you learn is exactly what you're not going to do again. If it's not your bag, man, you don't have to do stuff you don't like. That is for sure. So this is overly bright here on this part. I'm going to get some gray added to my little palette here in just a minute or two. I do like to let most of this dry between layers. Bob suggests that on his show during season 28, like I said, episode 4. And it really does just work out better. It just lets you build layer after layer after layer. But like I said, I don't like to edit these videos at all. So there's not much of that. Occasionally I think there's a little bit trimmed off at the beginning, or if I get rambly towards the end, just to shorten it. But I really want you to see what's happening. I don't like any thoughts of what you see is not what you get. So, that's turning out pretty good. Let's give that just a minute or two to dry a little bit. I'll start a fresh paper towel. I think this gray is pretty well had it, but we'll see what we can get out of it. And it's been an incredibly hot day here in Central Florida. Thankfully, we did get some great rain. A little bit of thunder and lightning, but that kind of goes with the territory living here in Florida. Pretty sure we're still the lightning capital of the world. Kind of funny, I heard on the radio, ran some errands this morning, and there's a early meeting I go to, and I actually get to host that meeting. Was on the way back listening to the radio, and Florida has, the latest statistics come out, been the #1 state people are relocating to from around this wonderful nation of ours. And the state that lost the most coming here to Florida was New York. This isn't a political show, this isn't a political statement, but do be aware if there are reasons you left a place to go to a new place. Don't do the same behaviors in the place that you left, or you will turn the new place into the same place you tried to leave. Because wherever you go, it's still you. Trust me, I've tried that a lot of different times. So if that doesn't make sense to you, just send me a message or a text or an email, and we can talk about that offline. But people often scold our state for having a part-time legislature. Well, I think that's a compliment, because politicians aren't meant to be full-time. They're meant to be public servants and then go participate in the economy and run a business and be leaders. And anyhow, there I go. Like I said, not a political show. So I'm just taking some gray, same way. I'm being careful of some of those build-up areas I got, because I want to keep those. Those add some beautiful texture. And we're going to add some clear to this as we finish things off. And this is the acrylic part has to be completely dry before you put clear oil on it, or it's just going to make a mess. And you can see some places I'm completely wind up covering it up. That's all right. I'm just rolling with whatever's happening. Other places it just sort of adds a cool layer. Maybe these are these cool looking leafy things, or it'll wind up being leaves on some big trees, or Oh, who knows? We'll see what it looks like when it turns out. We'll just be happy that we're here and painting. And life is tough, but overall life is good. You know, if you don't have some dark every now and then, you don't get to appreciate the light. And this gray just really helps knock down some of that brightness, like I said. And you may be saying, oh, Dan, you really screwed this one up here. Well, that could be true. But I'll bet we'll work it out just right. It's kind of start feeling like we may have some water down there. I think I said water. I think we should do that here in a minute. All right. This is about all the gray I wanted to do. Maybe just dance a little more here, a little more there. Any of these lighter areas, it may just look like some light zinging through the woods. And so that probably doesn't look like much to you. And that means we are right on track. So now, let me show you how crazy this gets. Let's give that just a minute or two just to set a little bit, because we're fixing to drop some big old trees up in here. If you don't get some on you, then you were probably well prepared and got your paints in your tray ahead of time. I tend to get some of this all over me, but that's really kind of part of the fun. Washes off real easy off hands with just some soap and water. If I like to use an old script liner brush, we'll do some branches and twigs and little tree looking things here in a minute. I like to use one of my old script liner brushes that has lots of miles on it, and just kind of acrylic paint's rough on brushes, I guess is what I'm saying. Comes off your hands real easy with warm soap and water. It does not come out of clothes or shirts or brushes. You let this stuff get hard in a foam brush like this, you might as well toss it. I actually do toss them. And so I'm actually going to go opposite of what you might think. We're going to use, I just added black to my tray, so I've got black, gesso, gray, and I've still got that white I started with. I'm going to do black trees right over here in the middle, and that'll make more sense as we go, and we'll move out to gray and then some brighter white ones on the outside, and it just has a really cool look to it. So let's just start with very little pressure up here near the top. And with trees, you just push a little harder as you come down. Make that base a little bit fatter as you come down. You don't have to go all the way to the top to start if you don't want to. Your tree could start right there. And if you kind of have a little shake in your hand like I do every now and then, you may wind up with one little skinnier at the top. Well, just run right back by it. It'll put a cool looking effect on this side of the tree trunk there. Just let these out. Don't overthink these. Just let whatever the canvas wants from you, just let that happen. You can see it's pulling in some of that color. That's okay. If you're trying one like this, I would encourage you to let it dry. I've got a cool little battery-operated Craftsman fan. That works real good. A lot of times I have that in the studio, and I flip it on right here next to the old thing I'm working on. Maybe this one has a little friend that just lives right here. Maybe he got he's a little crooked. Maybe he's really lived through some days and kind of got a little bend in him as he comes down there. Hey, that happens from time to time. Let's set that to the side. Now, you don't use paint thinner on these. Paint thinner and acrylic paints don't get along well at all. That won't work for you. So I've just got some just barely above room temperature water. You get a little bit of warm water. It really will thin this acrylic gesso out real good. I want this super, super thin. I almost just want black water. Well, a little thicker than that. So I wet my brush first. Use a little eyedropper. Little bitty. That's from an old medicine jar from when the kids were babies. I just stayed. It was always in the little tub in the bathroom, medicine tub in the linen closet. So now I've just got my script liner brush and I just kind of stirred in some water, acrylic paint. I just want to put some branches on the trees while we're coming forward. So just have a little shake in your hand and just put in some branches. Play with this. Have some that cross over the tree trunk, because this is a forest. You're going to just have branches going every which way, and pretty soon you're not going to be able to tell which one belongs to which tree. You can turn that brush while you're going if you want to. Have some come off the front and the back of the little trees you got going here. You shouldn't be able to really identify too many of them once you get them going, because we're just putting some stuff up here near the top of our tree canopy. Sometimes I'll even come back and put in a few leaves on this side of some of these. I've even been known to sneak in some Spanish moss. We have so much of that here in Florida, and boy, it is absolutely hell on the trees, but it sure is pretty to look at. And you can just have some going every which way, like I said. If you get a little bit of a repetitive pattern, go back and change some of those, because you won't like that once you do that. If you've watched me paint before, that's something I fighting doing uniformity and everything looking the same. I was a numbers dork for a long time in financial services and banking and the mortgage business, but part of my plea arrangement was time off for good behavior. No, that's not true. I shouldn't make jokes like that. Some people really do get themselves in trouble in that industry, but thankfully I was not one of them. Served a lot of great people and enjoyed it for a season, but boy, it quit being fun. So that's when I knew it was time not to do it no more. I did also a fine painting, so that might have had a little something to do with it. You can put in a few little things down here by the foots of your trees if you want. Maybe they got a little vine growing up here and there. Who knows? Whatever. Can't do it wrong. Oh, what would you do if you knew you couldn't make a mistake? Or no matter what happened, it was going to be just fine. Oh, isn't that a kind of a brain teaser there? We just put in. That'll work for now. Now, if you do that with your good script liner brush, or even an old one, get it right in the water afterwards. I like to even give it a squeeze and make sure it's all out of there, just because that brush will never do oils again if you don't get that cleaned up. Now, I didn't clean my little foam wedge brush here, and I'm going to go right into this gray. There's still enough black on there to make it a good dark color. We're just going to keep moving forward here. So I'm putting in a gray tree right here, a couple on this side, maybe those are buddies that just have always been together. And you kind of see I got some shake in my hand, I got a little bounce going. Let's come over and sneak one in here. And all of a sudden, it typically happens to me in this painting, I step back and look at it and go, well, I'll be darned, that is really starting to look like the woods. Deep in the woods, and all we've done is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 trees so far. Isn't that amazing? I just love that about these methods that Bob's still teaching so many of us. Yesterday was the 28th anniversary of his passing. Can you believe that? Kind of unbelievable. All right, let's go into some white, and we'll kind of yeah, all right, we'll put in a couple of white ones out here, because these will look really good with this light color. As let me put this liquid clear on it when it's dry. You can have some branches come from off of the canvas if you want. Just because your canvas ends doesn't mean the woods ran out of space. So maybe this one's kind of a crazy tree. We need to do some branches on these gray ones too, so kind of let myself forget. That's what I was struggling with, whether I was going to do that or not. I did tape the edges. I don't think I mentioned that when I set up. You can probably see that masking tape on the edges. And I like to do that on these gray or on these black canvases like this. It's just really cool how it sharpens up the edge there. Now the strange thing is the gray and the white don't mix nearly as well with the water. So just keep playing with this. You'll figure out how to make it consistent. I actually wind up making kind of a little hole in the gray. That's where I drop the water, and then just try to, kind of keep it confined to there. You don't have to do tons of these. You get a little glob on there, just blend it in with the tree. Nobody's going to notice that. Or it may actually become your favorite part. But now look at that. That just looks like that gray one is now completely in the front of that black one, doesn't it? Wasn't that cool? Same thing. You don't want to know which branches belong to which tree. You wouldn't be able to tell here after a few minutes anyway. You can go across your white stalks there. That's totally fine. We'll mix up some water in the with the white gesso in just a second. Do the same thing we got going over here. Got a little shake in your hand. This will work out better for you. My brush is kind of getting a little forked. Careful how you say that. That's a highly technical art term. I meant at the end. It's kind of getting, as it runs out of paint, it kind of almost like turning into a little look of a snake tongue looking, forked tongue devil. Oh. And this brush is way too small to beat the devil out of it. Well, that sounds like a good idea. That probably wouldn't turn out as fun as you'd hoped. Anyway, just giving you the idea. I just want to show you how to do it, or turn you on to the right episode to see Bob do it, and turn you loose on the world. I like using the little brush, just pulling in a few veins and highlights on a few spots on the trees. Don't overdo. Don't overdo. Just some indications. Just add some character and a little depth. If you get a little flat color, that looks a little flat to me. So I just want to put on a little something. Maybe that one's getting taken over by some viney looking things, or who knows. All right, let's get over here in the white. So mix out that water real good. Make us a little hole. Whoops. Kind of like when you get in a haircut. You don't ever want to hear it. Whoops. That's all right. Lori mowed the weeds on my head for me yesterday, so I put my beanie on. Like I said, it's past my bedtime, so we already have it, the Arctic blast, fired up to cool it off overnight. It is nice to sleep in the cold, cold AC. And you can have some of these come from off the canvas if you want. Do that with a fresh gob of paint, though. That wasn't exactly what I wanted. There we go. That's a little better branchy looking dude sticking out there, isn't it? Get a few over here. And let these look intertwined. You know, that happens just by following the procedure. So just get a feel for it. I would strongly suggest to you, boy, that got a little gray on that side. Did I skip doing white over here? I can't really tell. Listen to how Bob teaches us to do it. Practice it his way, and then figure out if that's the way you want to keep doing it. If you listen to any of his shows, he's not trying to tell you there's right or wrong. He's trying to show us what worked for him. And he did this a lot. So, worth listening to, for sure. It just looked like it needed a tree there, so. All right, so we got a whole bunch of tree-looking creatures and such happening there. Let's give our brush a good wash out, kind of step back and see what we got. I think we're ready to put in a layer with that old sponge. Sometimes the old sponge starts talking to me. What'd you say? You ready? All right, let's party. Let's take a little step back. Take a little look-see. Yeah, you make whatever kind of shape you want. I mean, at this stage, Bob takes a 2-inch foam brush. I was going to use that, but I used it to put the black on, and I didn't want the trees to be too big, so we'll skip those for now. So now, just decide which part of the sponge you want to use. I kind of like this curve over here. Yeah, that'll be cool. So let's just kind of do the same thing here. We're going to kind of pick, I'm going to make just kind of some gray and black together. I just want to see it, get it dark enough to see what we got. And maybe we'll cut off some of these trees here at the bottom and kind of make this a little bit of a hill. Kind of working this way. Now I realize I'm doing this quick and that canvas is bouncing back and forth a little bit like a drum, but I'm not doing this at random. I'm having a thought of, okay, that's further away, this part's getting closer to me, so I want it to get a little bit bigger to kind of help me have that feeling of depth and coverage there. So while that probably looked pretty random, there was at least a thought behind it. That's all I'm saying. You can do it however you want, but have a thought about where it's going for you. That kind of spun in my hand. I didn't like how that felt. You know what I did in the other one the other day? Turned out pretty good, I think. I liked it anyway. I had fun doing it. Was a waterfall. So that looks like a place where a waterfall might go. And then maybe we'll just turn all this right into some water here, and this could be a lake, and maybe we'll have I do like painting palm trees. So maybe we will put in a palm tree here and see what happens there. So let's just kind of sneak in a little layer of a few lighter color bushes, and just another layer, Let's sneak in a few white tops on those. Those always kind of look good because there'd be a few out here in this bright light where it's getting kissed a little bit. So it won't be all of it. The trees would block a bunch of that, but every here and there sure would be. And boy, you can really change the feeling of how the light's coming through just by that. Isn't that, I hope you think that's cool, because I know I'm kind of strange, but I just think that is so neat. And who knew, just touching with a sponge. All right, cool. So now then, we may use the sponge again. Probably not today, but I'm still going to just give it a squeeze in some water just to get that cleared out. And give that a squeeze into our paper towel here just to make sure, excuse me, it's going to be ready to go again. When we're ready, let's take a step back and see how we're doing. Well, that's kind of coming together there. I think we could sneak in a little waterfall there and just kind of see what happens. So let's just bring in a waterfall and see what happens. If we don't like it, guess what? We'll paint something right over it. So maybe our water is going to come in this way and just go shoo. You got to still make the sounds. Shoo, shoo, shoo. And maybe it's not that big a waterfall. So let's sneak in some reflection down here. Like we just got a little pond or something. Maybe we're at a sinkhole here in Florida. Now some of this is too bright. I realize that. We'll address that in a second. But all this would not be level. have a real jagged edge, so we wouldn't see reflection from everywhere. As it gets closer to us, we just pull down a little further. Smoosh out any extra paint I got there, and then just like painting with oil, ever so gently pull across. You got to do this gently. You go too hard, you're just gonna blank out all of that little bit of reflection like that. Too much pressure. That's all right. We'll make that work. Because then you can just pull in horizontal strokes like this. It'll give you some indication of the feel of water. See, it actually works better if you brave letting it almost dry. See how much drier this side is over here already? A lot of that is too light, so we're going to put some dark over it. We're going to kind of contain our waterfall there. It's okay if you get just off as far as being completely even there, in my opinion, just because you can kind of have some motion going on there. So pick up a little gray, a little black. I just want to soften some of these. This is just a little too stark. So just here and there and there and here. Just a little. Just tamp them back a little bit. Nothing crazy. Just knocking that harshness off. Same thing. Pull it across. Make it look watery. A little bit watery. All right, well that looks like we would have some kind of splashy at the bottom of our waterfall here. So let's just get some splashy in there. Just want that to be a little bit brighter. Not too much though. Just have a little splashies. Little splashies. There we go. Now, you want to cut in a little sharper water line. It's easy to do. This foam brush is already straight, so just kind of kiss in where you want that water line to be. Now don't forget, you wouldn't see all of it. You wouldn't be able to see all of it. Plus, this really can help you set the edge of your body of water here. Get a lot of effect for very little effort. I don't know about you, but I appreciate that when I can get that kind of results for not too much crazy. All right, what if we just drop a big old palm tree in there? How about that? So here's how I like to paint my palm trees in a painting like this. I've got my 2-inch foam brush. I got some black on there. I'm going to go into gray and just decide where this thing's going to live, and then let's just decide how high it's going to go. So maybe it's going to live right here, and let's just paint a curve. I'm just pulling kind of around, thinking about painting one side of the trunk of this palm tree. Go around. We need a bigger one than that though, don't you think? Let's really make a palm tree like a big one's hiding out here in the woods. We actually do have those here in Florida. Don't just think I'm crazy. I mean, I'm strange, don't get me wrong. But there we go. That's okay with me. Now let's put the little sharp sharp kind of things on it, because I kind of get with the gray on there, it kind of looks like it's got the rings of a palm tree on it already. So now we're just cutting in those kind of sharp things that make it look like the palm tree saying, I don't think you really want to climb me. Maybe that's welcoming, I don't know. But we'll just put in a few. Just putting in a few. Now, this is super cool. Let's put in a big old palm frond. Maybe it goes, back this way. And now we got to put in the little palm frond zingers. Don't overthink this. Just let the brush do the work for you, because you wouldn't see all of these. And these are not going to be all perfect. We get some rough weather here in Florida some days. So these things are often going to be snarled up and grizzly looking. If it's a calmer day, it'll kind of fan itself out a little bit. Enjoy the sun, but just touch, just touch. Don't go crazy. Let the shape of the brushes work for you. You don't have to go all artsy-fartsy and try and get crazy about this. Hey, if you're gifted that way, go for it. I'm not dissing artsy-fartsy. I'm just telling you, you don't have to be to make this work. You get one a little bit not quite as pronounced down the middle as you want, well, just go put the middle back. No problem. We don't make mistakes. And put in a few more palm fronds if you want. See that? Just shoved all of those things behind it back there. And just think about this. All these aren't going to be the same direction. We're going to do a beach scene in class down in the Villages on Monday, which also happens to be my birthday. So if you happen to see this before that, you're coming to class. I hope you plan on misbehaving and having lots of fun for my birthday. That'd be cool. Actually, don't misbehave. You may distract lots of other people, and I don't want you to do that. Let's have another one maybe goes off this way. Golly. Probably some places that it's against the law to have this much fun. Old man painting. But I love it. I just love it every time. Love it, love it, love it. We're going to put some highlights on these. So maybe one of these big old jokers goes right off our canvas up here and kind of makes a turn and reappears over here. That'd be kind of cool. Why not? It could do that. That's okay with you. It's okay with me. There we go. Now let's kind of get this tied in a little bit. Oh, just a few of the kind of wispier things there, and let's have one big old one come down this way, and you could even have it cross your trunk if you want. Just darken it up, because it would go past the light source there that we'll have here once the clear goes on. I probably will put some titanium white on here once this is completely dry, and I can put the liquid clear on, because man, do I love to put the sun rays on there. It just makes it feel so dang spiritual to me, and I just love that. So, well, let's kind of get the front of this wrapped up and onto the drying phase. So let's kind of cut this off. Maybe we've just got kind of a, I don't know what it is, a little land mass. We need some more gray though, don't we? Just so we can see that. Let's kind of pull in some sandy stuff this way. Who knows? Maybe it's over by the intercoastal waterway somewhere or something. Who knows? So we just got some sandy stuff like that. Now let's put in, we can put in all kinds of grassy things and all. What do we got here? Black, a little bit of gray. Put in all kinds of little, you can do it however you want. You can pull in some crazy looking grassy stuff like that. Have them go every which way. This is with a foam brush. I mean, it will do all kinds of cool little shapes for you. It's fun to grab your script liner brush again. You're going to grab some black, that's cool, and just put in a bunch of almost like sea oats. Cool grassy things, put those everywhere. Get some gray mixed in there a little bit, just so it's a little lighter than the black. Oh my goodness, you could put a tree down here on the ground that's given up the ghost and is just kind of just sort of here if you wanted to put a tree, or let's make that a little darker, make that a little more pronounced. Who knows? That's a could be a log, could be a hiding place for a little alligator action or something. I don't know. But now we got two of them, whatever they are. Oh, let's go back to our sponge. Where'd I put it? Oh, I'm still holding it. Look at that. Forgot about old spongy here. Now I'm going to use the flat side of it and just kind of see what we come up with. I'll grab some more of that white. I'm just trying to use up the paint I've got in my little holder here. Like I said, you could wait till this is all dried between layers, which you may get some color mushing, but that's okay. You can just roll with whatever happens there too. I like to come back and get a different color going, just so it gives us another layer. Vary that. Something gets to feeling good, you're going to do it a lot, and then you may just flatten out your whole feel you're painting there. Just be aware of that. Don't be scared of it. Just be aware of it. Let's put a few highlights on here. Maybe we got some pretty flowery things happening, and they'd be picking up a few of these sun rays that are sneaking through. Just a few. Put this over here. Maybe we got some little highlights, because that kind of got scaramooshed in there, didn't it? Scaramooshed, another highly technical artsy-fartsy term, so be cautious with that, but you're welcome to use it. Take credit for it. I don't need credit for that. Let's just put in a few of these. I liked how that felt. That felt good in my hand, and now it really looks like these are on this side of our water, because we can still see our water through there. And when we put the liquid clear on it, after this all dries, that'll really be pretty cool. All right, let's get old... no, we need just our little foam brush. Put a few highlights on a few of these. If I'd have waited for each of these palm fronds to be a little drier between doing them, I could be a little more liberal with how I'm doing the highlights. That's just because I don't want to make mud out of all my little fronds and such up here. Just having a few highlights. There'd be some light zinging through here and there and here. Don't do them all uniform. It's just the indication. It just adds a little bit of depth. You could even come back here now that this is set for a minute, and where you think more light would hit, just give a little pull around that side, just a little wrinkle of depth. Especially if you get a dark area like that, light against dark. Get two darks next to each other, it's nothing. Too much light next to each other. See, that's too much light. I just did it, didn't I? So I'm just going to go back over it. No big deal. No big deal at all. Nobody ever know but me and you. Let's get a few little things. Just sitting our little palm tree down in the mix a little bit. All right, let me take a look and see what we got. I'm going to pause this. Oh, wow. You know what? Let's call this done. I'm going to stop this video since we're almost at 45 minutes. And I'll do a second video of putting the liquid clear on it. That'll probably be tomorrow morning. And well, they'll both be online at the same time, so you won't know the difference. So there you go. Thanks for tuning in. I will see you on the next video where we are putting liquid clear. And there's the end of that paint. I still didn't use up all my white acrylic. And I'm just going to clean up some brushes. Fireworks seem to have subsided, so I may call it a night. Thanks again for hanging out.